Hi, this is Kurt Johnson doing a Mindful Monday down here at Shawbucks, downtown Jamestown, New York, on Chautauqua Lake. You can't be happy all week if you don't start on Monday. Should you choose to be happy, life is choice. Today's topic is like what I would consider my golden rule. What you think about, you bring about. You could think of your neighbor and love your neighbor as yourself, but you also have the choice to hate your neighbor as you probably hate yourself. I mean, these energies are charged positive and negative. The two emotional intelligences are love and fear. And whether we realize it or not, we're creating movement and behaviors within ourselves and others based on the charge of love or the charge of fear. Think happy thoughts for health, think anxious thoughts for illness. Our thoughts are invisible. Our emotions are invisible, but yet we can react to them in a physical manner, whether it's compassion, kindness, or through shame, guilt, lack, violence, hate. These emotional energies within the physical body is how we experience them. And I suppose when the body dies, this physical senses, emotions of love and fear go back to the universe or cosmos. But the way I'm trying to explain these Mindful Mondays is 40 years ago I had my Texas experience, and I realized that I had this experience where I felt this oneness. It was a love. It wasn't an emotional. It was more of a stillness, and it was a state of being. And it gave me the insight that life's like a battery, and there was a positive pole that was love and a negative pole that was fear. And I struggled to explain this analogy and language. It was kind of ineffable for quite a long time. And I've been trying to explain this through writing a book for almost probably 13 years. And as I'm writing, it becomes more clear, and I think I'm developing a language where I can articulate what I mean by this. And a few years ago, maybe during COVID, I came up with the analogy because everything was pushing towards artificial intelligence and integrating that into the physiology of a human body. And I'd been reading the Hermetica and learning about embracing opposites. And so for me, what embracing opposites mean, to allow what you don't want and the discomfort it gives you in your body. To know what you don't want is the green light to focus on what you do want and let go of what you don't want. Shawbucks dress code: come dressed with the experience you choose to have and leave what you want behind. But as far as a language, there's like a language where you can see repeating patterns. I call it the experiential philosophy that I've developed through this understanding of repeating patterns and choosing fear and love to create movement and how they show up in life. And it's really given me some insights into human behavior and how to promote my business and advertise. But I think it could boil down to something that's even easier to explain than that. With the material world, we have digital binary codes of ones and zeros that make up our computers and whatnot. And some people would refer to that as a hard technology. And then we have this invisible world, like a soft technology. And I would call that an analog. And it has a binary code of the pluses and minuses, the love and fears that we experience. And it can imprint in our physical being and through our senses and memories and these behaviors and whatnot get encoded in you. And if you begin to contemplate, if you're creating movement through love and fear, it gives you a space to make a choice. Instead of reacting, you can begin to respond. And you see that there's you can develop a binary harmonic language, harmonic, where it's a harmony, and fear separates you from love, but the discomfort from fear assists you in returning to love. And it's just a language. That's all it is. And I've been trying to explain this. And if you look at artificial intelligence as the material world, and authentic intelligence is the invisible spiritual world. So you're kind of bridging the material and physical, the duality of the material with the unity of the spiritual, which is love. And we experience life with these emotions of love and fear. And I think as we begin to practice the binary harmonics of how love and fear create movement, and using those pluses and minuses, that when those come in harmony, you start to level up into joy, and you move above the emotional state of love and into this state of love that's like God's love, that is a state of being, and it's got an absence of fear. That's the authentic state of love that I think all humans are chasing, because you feel safe, you feel protected, and there's no ego that you have to defend or protect. And so life unfolds in a unique way, and the more you can pay attention to those pluses and minuses of how you're creating movement or how someone's trying to force you to create movement. With an emotional love, there's a lot of attachments. You're relying on other people for your happiness. And you have a lot of judgment that comes with emotions of right and wrong. And as you begin to harmonize the emotional intelligence of love and fear, you begin to make non-judgmental choices from a higher point of consciousness. And then what you think about, you start to bring about in a positive way. Your thoughts are invisible. We're either creating heaven on earth or hell on earth with our thinking, and the amount of work is the same. Happy thoughts for health, anxious thoughts for illness. It's just the awareness. But when you get that harmony and you go beyond the state of fear, beyond the state of, protection and defense, a healing and a unity begins to arise, and you start releasing from your physiology the tensions of day-to-day life. And a lot of them have imprinted, just like you have a subconscious mind that imprints these binary codes of love and fear. It imprints in your physical body, and it expresses itself, as a cancer, a tumor. It creates inflammation in the blood. It can attack a certain part of your body, whether it's acid reflux from being stressed, or it could be the food you eat. This experiential philosophy I've been talking about on Mindful Mondays is simply like the me represents mindful eatery, and it's paying attention to what causes you to gain or leak your energy in the areas of food, thought, and environment. And they're either supporting your health or they're taking them away, but the most important of these is what you consume in your thoughts. And I would call these threes the law of consumption, because they precede the law of attraction, because you're consuming positive and negative thoughts. You're consuming food that supports life positively or negatively, and the multitude of these combined is your environment is either supporting your health or it's not, based on your perception, the way that you perceive your thoughts and judgments, and that influences your overall well-being. So truly what you think about, you bring about. And that's been the main part of this. And so energy within me meaning mindful eatery. So energy is the ability to create motion or movement by definition. And I believe there's two invisible forces that create movement within ourselves and those around us. Those energies are love, charged positive, and fear, charged negative. And as we move forward, you can feel the energies through your emotions in the body. I believe like you have a soil that you plant the seed of a thought, and your soil's able to be a soil that you can grow, and you're planting. So I guess what I'm trying to say is your thoughts are seeds, and they're charged positive or negative, and you're planting those seeds in a soil, and then you get a feeling that you can connect with whatever seed you planted. Hopefully it's a positive one. And then your emotions are what waters your feelings to the seeds that creates the growth of what you're thinking about. So simply you're planting a thought seed, you're nourishing it with your feelings, and then your feelings begin to transform into emotion that waters the seed you planted. And weeding out the seeds are the negative fear-based programs that have gotten in your soil. So you're just simply forgiving the fear within them, experiencing it in your body, and then just recognizing the fear in your body. Fear is just data, truly, in this authentic intelligence. You're literally just listening to that data that maybe you've been ignoring or paralyzing, avoiding fear. Fear is just data to give you information to assist you in choosing what you want from its discomfort. And that's why it's like a battery. Fear separates you from the unity of love. It's the outgoing from the negative pole of the battery. It gets so far and it gets a discomfort, and it returns to love. And if it misses that discomfort, things become disordered and chaotic. And you wonder what's going on, what happened. And then the third D, the first D is discomfort, the second D is disorder, the third D is disorder, and disease is the third D. And that's your last chance to reconcile, to return to the wholeness of the battery. And if you miss that one, the fourth D is death. So why go there? It's if you could just picture a bullseye, and that's hitting the mark, the mark of love. And when you're missing that mark of love, the first layer away, separation, is discomfort. And that's your first opportunity from separation from love, that discomfort, to return back. And the second phase is disorder, and the third line outside from there is disease, and that's kind of your last phase of correction, to return to love, to listen to the story the data from fear is trying to tell you, and reconcile it, and stop judging, and trying to align with a binary harmony within love and fear, to go to that next level with an absence of fear. A higher love above emotional love. And it's a state of being in which your body begins to heal. So take it for what it is, and I hope you guys can get a better idea of what these Mindful Mondays are, the energy within me, within experiential philosophy, and the authentic intelligence that's within you. The artificial intelligence is the material world made up of mathematics, like ones and zeros, but perhaps it could also be what's made up of the space-time reality. And then if you want to think of spirituality as the invisible forces, and we can recognize them by the emotional charges of pluses and minuses with our loves and fear, whether fear being shame, guilt, lack, limitation, I'm not worthy, or the positive energy and emotions that come charged within your body, of I'm worthy, compassion, kindness, forgiveness. Those are the energies that you experience physically. And you can use those to attain a higher state of intelligence, so therefore I'd call those authentic intelligence. And it's the invisible forces that precede the material world. You know, the authentic intelligence wasn't meant to be the slave. More likely it was meant to be the master of the digital, artificial world. But I would say they're mainly meant to work in harmony. We're in this physical structure to bridge the authentic intelligence between the material and the spiritual world. Not trying to go religious, but you know, your thoughts are invisible. Your thoughts precede your biology. The thoughts precede the material world. Your thoughts precede your actions. Your thoughts precede your health. So the golden rule for me is what you think about, you bring about. Whether you realize it or not, you're creating heaven on earth or you're creating hell on earth based on your thoughts. So with that said, have a great day. Thank you for sharing this Mindful Monday with me. Stop down to Shawbucks if you're out and about. And if you really like this content, it's been up on YouTube under Kurt B. Johnson for 8 years. If you want to hear about my Texas story 40 years ago, it's explained there. If any part of this you didn't understand, I'm sure there's a topic, authentic intelligence, experiential philosophy, whatever you want to see. There's plenty of videos on YouTube at Kurt B. Johnson, and you can find them on Facebook or any social media. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. Have a great week.